Here we are. I'm awake. Well, it's still a struggle, but I think a lot of this is stress, which brings us to yoga. So I'm not sure how you're feeling about the coming days, but I'm trying to keep positive and uplifted and hopeful. And yet, and yet, the unknown, right? So maybe in our practice today, we'll have a bit of centering, energizing with a little flow, some balance, which I was reading today does have a correlation to where we are with our health. If you look online, there's a little chart there that lets you know how long you should be able to stand on one foot based on your age. So, that can be tree pose, that can be eagle pose, that can be warrior three, Chandrasana. Speaking of which, today I thought we would flow through our three warrior poses. So we'll flow through 1, 2, and then as an option in warrior three, which can be a little problematic to backs, instead of warrior three, I give you the option for Chandrasana. So the setup is pretty much the same. It's just that in a warrior three, you make the letter T, right? But in a Chandrasana, the bottom foot is the same as it would be in warrior three, but you open the body so it's kind of your ta-da, tipped over, so to speak. Anyway, we'll get there in the moment, but first let's come to Samastiti. So whether you're in your jammies or whether you've gotten dressed for the day, I hope you have your mat rolled out. I have my block. I'm going to be sitting on it a little bit later, but I'm going to stay right here for a few minutes just to get you centered. So why don't you come on your mat and go to child's pose. So as you come to child's pose, slightly part the knees. Let the hands relax behind you if possible so that your forehead rests on the earth. And that as you get in that position, kind of step away from what the day can bring and be present to where you are right now. And let your focus move into the breath. And let the breath move up and down your spine. Feeling the broadening through the upper back and the contraction all the way down to the lower belly, just releasing whatever. Let's affirm on the inhale and let go on the exhale. And continue that breathing of filling your vessel and emptying your vessel. Coming to terms with how your body is feeling before we start our practice so you can care for it properly. Sometimes things need a little attention. And so you sink into this child's pose, knowing that it's available at any time during our practice. So if you just need to get down to child's pose, regardless of what I'm suggesting, follow your third eye chakra. Your knower knows better than my knower. So my voice is going to change as I step over onto my mat. Move your hands from behind you out to the front of your mat, feeling a lengthening of your spine even further. And then moving ever so mindfully into the all fours position. So if the knees need a little padding, bring a towel under your knees or double up your mat a little if you need it. Place the palms under the shoulders or the knuckles, the knees under the hips. We move through some cats and cows, drawing the belly up, bowing the head down, pressing firmly into the hands, Breathing out, cat pose. Breathing in, lifting the heart, lifting the tailbone. Cow pose. Back to the proverbial cat on the fence during Halloween, cat pose. Lifting and extending into cow pose. And a few more rounds through the cat. Into the cow. Last time, the cat pose. Into the cow pose. And into neutral position. So, bandhas, bandhas, and a little hula circle. So let's move those hips around gently in a circle. Change the direction of that circle. Say good morning to the back. And then let's get to those bendy toes. I've turned my toes under. Depending on how your toes feel, this could be enough. As I back up my hips, pay attention to how your knees feel. You may get to here, the toes, the knees may say good enough. You may be able to sit pretty easily on those heels, lifting the spine, leaving the toes turned under with a bit of weight on them. Noticing perhaps the blood pressure change as you move out of the child's pose. Moving into a standing position, try not to use your hands to brace, but if you need to. Otherwise, bring yourself up mindfully and stand. So you can be on your mat any way you wish. I'm just facing this way because this is my orientation, but your orientation may be like this, or you may want to just listen to my voice. Don't need to see me all that much. Tadasana, the mountain pose, rooting the feet, engaging your legs, addressing the Mula Bandha, lifting the spine so that it feels light through the crown of the head, but then the fingers reach to the earth. So rather than letting those levators hold tension in your neck and shoulders, reach the fingers down so you create space. This simple Tadasana has so many applications into all of our poses. Tune into your breath. And if you've just joined us, come to Samastiti and be present. And with your next breath, stretch the arms to the sides of your space. Feeling the lifting through the spine, the reaching through the tips of the fingers, holding those shoulders down such that the energy moves from the shoulders down the arms and out through the fingers. Turning the palms upward, lifting the arms, lifting the heart, attentive to how your shoulders feel, lifting your spirit, joining the palms and bringing the heart and hands into one place to adjust to the attitude of gratitude. So let's let the palms sweep back down and reach forward, palms up. So just a movement through the shoulders. I'll add the legs in a moment. From the side would look like this. Now, if your shoulders feel happier going a little higher, just take care the back doesn't begin to accommodate for that. So lifting, and then I'll squat down, moving my hips back, reaching my fingers back. For this one, it's okay to lean forward. This is not a chair pose. I am leaning my body forward, so I get lots of hips moving back, a lot of my hips moving back. Neutrality through my spine. Follow your breath. Next time, stay up. Circle the arms carefully. Watch out for your space. Sometimes you're in a smaller space, so you have to be a little careful. Again, take the arms in a rotation. Pay attention to blood pressure. Have you hydrated a little this morning? Once more. And end up back in mountain pose. Let's go a little bit down at the lower end, beginning with the feet, and you're welcome to leave the hands down, but if they feel like they're in the way, you can rest them on your sides or hold them out. So alternate lifting the heels. Now, sometimes there's a tendency to rock, kind of like when we walk the dog. This is not that. This is trying to maintain the core as a stabilizer, and then allowing the feet to move below the body. So a little more for those feet. Going up over the pads of each one of your toes. Pull up, draw in, lift up. Now holding the feet still, alternate lifting the toes. So I'm showing you with my hands in case my toes aren't as clear. Activating our tibialis, having that movement through our ankles. So stand on your left foot as I look at you. Float the arms out to the side if not there already. Bend the right knee. Now 2 options as I circle the ankle around. Can leave the foot on the floor. For a little more challenge, circle the ankle with the foot above the floor. Go the other way. And still breathe. There is that balance element if you chose. Tadasana. So see what Tadasana gives us? It gives us that balance of calm. So as we move to the other side, rooting into the right leg, pulling up on the right leg, bending the left knee, hands where you like them, circling through the ankle with foot on the floor or foot off the floor. It's just going one way. And now going the other way. You know, if you stare at me or stare at something, it makes the balance feel a little bit less chaotic. The eyes bring that chaos, which challenges the balance. Tadasana. Moving up the leg, bending the right knee as you stand on that left leg, bringing the knee up, letting the leg kind of circle around below the knee. I say kind of circle because the knee is actually a hinge joint, not a ball and socket joint. And going the other way. See, that's what happens. So you play with it. So if you needed to have it on the floor, you could be doing your knee down here. And Tadasana. It's good to find that connection to calm. Stand on the other leg, pull up, or leave the foot down. But now you move at the knee, can be on the low, close to the earth, can be up above. Stay connected to the breath. Change directions. Tadasana. And we move up the leg to the hip joint. So this will be my knee moving around, but it's the movement of the hip joint. Might want to have your hands out of the way for this one. As you root on the left leg, bend the right knee, pull up, pull in. Go ahead and pick that knee up and it can go around, touching the floor to catch that balance if need be, or letting it float through the floor. Be playful. It's okay if you step out of it. Look, nothing bad happened to me when I did. Okay, Okay, hold that direction. Let's reverse it, starting behind you, going behind, bringing the knee up. Again, touch the floor if that helps. Get you centered. Pull up on your standing leg. Be with your breath. And Tadasana. Feeling a bit of energy? Root on your right leg, bend the left knee. Go ahead and move those arms up or onto your side. And then here's the circle option 1, where your foot touches down or letting it pass through. Change the direction, and none of this should be painful. So if you need a little smaller motion, that might be better for you. Breathe. And Tadasana. Widen your stance. Bend the knee, let the hip go out. Bend the other knee, let the hip go the other way. Hip moving toward the straight leg. So moving my pelvis, spine is not leaning, spine is staying upright. So bending what would be your left knee, go ahead, turn that foot out, load down on the hand, visualize in your mind's eye a diagonal line from the base of the right foot up through your side. So instead of the hip out, you might want to come in a little and then go ahead and reach all the way up. Now, right now I have the left hand on my thigh, and that gives support to my back, which may be best for you. If you want a little more challenge and your back is not cranky today, consider reaching the bottom arm out as well. Breathe. Lift your top arm, release the pressure, stand up, toes forward. Now, as you bend the right knee, turn the toe out. Keep the body up as it may tend to go forward as it looks for a bit of balance. Right hand supports that back, bandhas of course. Visualize the diagonal line you're creating from the bottom of your foot up through your side, out through your arm, nice and straight. So you feel that opening through the side. May be more appropriate for you to keep the stability with your right hand supporting the back. But if you can engage those bandhas and it doesn't bother your back, consider bringing both arms out. Breathe. Release your high arm, straighten up the bent leg, bring the toes forward, keep the legs wide, thumbs come to the small of your back. Go ahead, press the hips forward, lift the chest up, a little easy back bend by moving the hips forward. That's not the tradition, but it makes it easier. Then bringing the heart forward, slide the hands down your thighs, lean to the toes, go over your knees. Now, good morning to hamstrings, right? So you may be above the knees or below the knees because that's just where you can go without compromising your back, hinging forward rather than rounding. If you're able to go any further, say to the ankles or maybe even onto the floor, be my guest. Just open up those hamstrings in a very gentle way. Begin to bend the knees and move your hands up onto your thighs, dropping the hips so you come to a wide squat. My forearms are resting on my thighs. Turn your heels in. Maybe drop the hips a little bit and push those knees open. Not a full squat because I'm much wider than I would normally be. Into some breath. Shifting my weight forward, spinning my toes forward, hands once again on my thighs. Lift but stop at the bookshelf pose. Let's stop at the bookshelf pose. So make sure you're leaning into the toes because the legs are like the wall. The arms are straight as if to be brackets, and the back is the shelf that you would put your books on. Feel the sit bones spread. As you bend the knees, bow the head, engage your core, and roll yourself up ever so mindfully. How's blood pressure? Step your feet in and move to the end of your mat. Come to Tadasana. Let the arms lift, depending on your space, to the side or in front. Bend the knees, put the hands on the floor next to your feet. Drop your hips and lift your chest, gazing outward. Move your right foot back, sliding it deeply into a lunge, leaving the left knee above the ankle. This is where some people like to have blocks under their hands. Heaviness through the hips as we open through the front of our thigh. Squeeze the back knee straight. As you breathe in, raise the hips, push off the back leg, and step up. Squeeze the legs, release the arms, rise all the way up, attentive to blood pressure and your form. Join the palms together. Bring the hands down to the heart. Namaste. Lift the arms up. Open, bend the knees. Forward fold with hands on the floor. Maybe you try and straighten the legs a little bit. Drop the hips and lift the chest, hands on the mat or on your blocks. Left foot then steps and slides or wiggles into that nice long low lunge. Right knee above the ankle, push the heel back, belly in. Hands are not doing a whole lot, but they're there. Breath in, lift up your hips. Breath out, bend the back leg and step up. Again, a squeezing feeling between the legs to lend support to your back as you release mindfully, rising, stacking, aligning, and joining. And then hands into the heart. Arms lifting, reaching forward or outward as you're folding, bowing the head, lifting your chest and lowering the hips. Right foot goes back again to the low lunge. As you ground yourself, stand up into crescent pose. Feel free to use that left thigh to assist you. Arms down by your side as you bring the body perpendicular to ground. Float the arms forward and all the way up. Squeeze the back knee for a fuller extension of the top of your thigh. Lower the hands to the mat. Lift the hips up, bend the back knee, push off, step forward. Squeeze your legs, release your arms, rise. As you breathe in, join the palms. As you breathe out, hands into the heart. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, we fold. Drop hips, inhale, we lift. Exhale, left foot steps back and goes deep and long for the low lunge. Get grounded. When ready, stand up. Feel the fingers reaching to the earth, elements of Tadasana, right? Crown of head towards sky, the back heel is lifted, the front knee is bent. Float the arms forward and upward. Exhale, hands to the mat. Inhale, hips lift. Exhale, push off back leg and step up. Squeeze the legs, release the arms, finish your breath. Your palms come together above. Exhale, hands into the heart. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, we fold. Drop the hips, lift the chest, breathe in. Again, right foot steps back. Go to the lunge, but then drop that right heel, veering your right toe on the diagonal. Keeping those hips and chest forward, feeling free to use that thigh as you rise up, facing the short end of the mat. You see your left knee is above the ankle, not behind it. Your hips are forward, your chest is forward. Float the arms up and overhead. Exhale the hands to the floor, lift that back heel up. Breathe in, the hips go up, breathe out, push out and step forward. Squeeze legs, release arms, come all the way up, join the palms and the hands into the heart. Other side, arms lift and we fold. Drop hips and lift. Left foot takes the stride back. Dropping that left heel, grounding your feet. Mindful to the alignment of hips and shoulders. When ready, stand up. It's not weird if you touch to find out where might your hips be. Chest and hips forward. Front knee bent. Reach arms out and up. Virabhadrasana 1. Breathe out, lower the hands, lift that back heel up. Lift the hips, bend the knee, push off, step forward. Squeeze the legs, open the arms as you rise. Finish your breath. And palms together. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, lift chest. Right leg moves back. Drop the right heel. Use your leg, if need be, to bring yourself up. So we get the warrior 1, bring the arms forward, turn the palms down. Left hand stays over the left leg. Right arm circles as the body turns to the long end of the mat. Left arm forward, right arm back, sink into Virabhadrasana 2. Check that the arm isn't back and the body is forward, that the body has turned. Sometimes when the body turns, the knee comes, so keep the left knee forward. Keep the body open. Relax your shoulders. Breathe. Windmill the arms, lift the back heel up. Inhale, lift hips. Exhale, push off, step up. Squeeze legs, release and rise. Breath in. Exhale, hands to your heart. You stay right there. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we fold. Drop the hips and lift the chest. Breathe in. Left foot takes its turn going back. Dropping the heel, grounding your feet. Engage your bandhas. When ready, stand up. Right now your body is in that warrior 1 with hips and chest forward. Palms come up and face downward. Leave the right hand above the right leg. Turning the body so the left arm reaches behind. So it's just like you're holding your arms out to the side, but your focus is forward. Commit to the lunge, she says. Windmill the arms, lift that back heel up, go down to the floor. Breath in, lift up the hips, breath out, push off, step forward. Squeeze the legs, open the arms, rise all the way up, join the palms. Exhale the hands into the heart to warrior three. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, open the arms, bend the knees, put the hands on the floor, forward fold. Drop the hips, lift the chest. Now we're going a little different. The right leg goes back, but not as far as I have been. The hands come forward to create a tripod. To warrior three, you shift your weight forward and lift the right leg up, lift your chest. With your left foot standing on the floor, leave your right hand down and release the left arm. If the warrior three is not what you'd like, open the body so that the back foot turns to the long end of the mat. Leave your left hand down and reach your right hand up toward the sky. So you have crescent pose. Breathe. Bring the hands and foot back down. Bring the hands back to the foot, step up. Squeeze the legs, release the arms, rise up, join the palms, and hands to heart. Same thing other side. Arms lift, we breathe in. Fold over, we breathe out. Drop the hips, lift the chest, breathing in. Now your left foot goes back, but not as far. And then move your hands forward so you create this tripod, right? Warrior three, shift your weight onto the front leg. Front knee can be bent or straight. Lift the back leg so it feels that it's parallel to ground. I know that's hard to feel. If this is going well, standing on your right foot, leave your left hand down, remove your right arm. If you feel you can do both arms, cool. If you feel like you can straighten the leg, do that. Or open the body, leave the right hand down, open your left arm, so you do Chandrasana. And breathe. As you step back, bring the hands back by your foot, bring the back foot up, squeeze the legs, release the arms, come all the way up, hands to your heart, and breathe. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, bend the knees, put the hands on the floor, forward fold. Drop the hips, lift the chest. Right foot goes back to that long lunge once more and drop the heel. Left hand stays on the floor, or your option would be to move that left forearm above your left knee. Reach the right arm out. Open the body, side angle pose. If that feels a bit much, transfer the weight onto the left arm, side angle pose. Remember earlier we worked on that diagonal line. We recreate it now. Keep the front knee bent as that right arm pulls you up into warrior two. Pretty cool. Flip the front arm up as you keep going into the exalted warrior. Exhale, windmill the arms, hands to the mat, lift the back heel up. Raise the hips when you breathe in, bend the knee, push off and step forward as you breathe out. Squeeze the legs and breathe in to come up. Hands to your heart as you breathe out. Inhale to lift. Exhale to fold. Drop hips, lift your chest. Left foot now takes that big step back, go long. Drop the heel. Leave the right hand down outside your right leg as you reach your left arm forward. Option two, put your right hand above, forearm on the thigh, and reach the left arm forward. Open the body so you get side angle pose, either here or here. And breathe. Pull the left arm back as you come up, look forward as you hit that warrior two. Turn the front arm up Exalted warrior as you lean back. Windmill the arms, flip the back heel up. This time, step your front foot to your back foot as we come to a plank. From the toes, from the knees, as you wish. If your palms aren't happy about it, beat on your knuckles. So use your variations. Watch out for droopy heads. Move the right knee forward to behind the right wrist. Now I'm moving into a pigeon pose, so if you'd like to skip this, you're going to come onto your back and do the pretzel pose. That right foot that's back here is going to come over to the side of the mat, so see I can move it with my hand. Slide the other foot so I either float or sit. So right knee is on the right edge of the mat, right foot is on the left side of the mat. Staying upward. Staying upward. I know you'd like to lay down, stay upward. Bandhas. Load into your hands, turn the back toes under. Lift up out of the pigeon pose and return to your plank. Watch out for droopy heads. Draw the left knee up behind your left wrist. And as you see, we're moving into the pigeon, and maybe that's not your choice. Flip onto your back and do the pretzel pose. As you bring that left foot forward, perhaps with the help of your right hand, slide the other foot back. Keep your hips forward as you lift your chest. This is not for everybody. Make sure this foot has not come back here. It's a place where many of us go. Load into your hands, turn the back toe under if you're on your back. Join us in the plank position. Come up into plank. From your knees, from your toes, elbows in, lower your body down. Relax the feet. Baby cobra, reminder not to push. Cobra after a baby. Up dog for those who pull the shoulders back and end up on the tops of the feet. Might not be your thing. And down you go. Inhale, go up, shoulders down, and come down. You do not have to go all the way up. You have three options. Inhale, go up. Exhale, come down. Toes under, hips up either from the knees, so you see my hips piped up a little, or come onto the toes. Anchor and press off the mat into your plank, and let's come to down dog. I'm adjusting my feet. They move forward just a little. They're not together, but they're not wide. Press into the palms or transition onto your knuckles. Feel the elbows move inward. If this need be, bend the knees to get relief from the back. Eyes to your thighs. Breathe. Raise your heels, walk your feet back, lower the hips as you gaze outward and return to plank. From knees or toes, elbows in, come down again. Relax the toes, baby cobra, cobra up dog. And coming down, elbows in, toes under, hips up from knees or from toes. Do your best to press off the mat, moving right into your down dog, moving your feet forward again. Breathe. Try to still yourself. Raise the heels, bend the knees, set them down on the mat. If you need extra padding or a towel, bring it out. Come back to all fours. As the right leg extends back and hip distance height, like the warrior three, reach the left arm forward in your bird dog. If the palm is tired of this, come to a knuckle. And release both the hand and knee. Try not to oversettle. Use your core. Extend your left leg up and behind. Point the hips to the earth. Release the right arm forward, bird dog. Stay over the left arm. Release and child's pose for a moment. As you gently come up, position onto your back as we move to a bridge pose. The knees are bent, the chin is tucked. Some of you might want a pillow under the head, the fingers down by the side. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana action. Elevate the hips. Tuck the shoulders in. Some of you might want to bind the hands and press into the feet a wee bit more. Dig those heels down. And breathe. Continuing with our back strengthening. Moving the hands under the back, coming down mindfully through the upper back, the middle back, the lower back. Bringing one hand behind the head, we'll be alternating, so it doesn't matter which one. The right hand or the left hand that's free is going to touch first your hips, then your thigh, then reach to the knee as best it can. So the pattern will be hip, thigh, knee, 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 hip, thigh, knee. Twice more of the hip, thigh, and knee, hip, thigh, knee. Switch your hands, repeat on the other side. Touch the hip, the thigh, and then the knee. The hip, the thigh, the knee. Your hand is there to support the neck, so if you're feeling your neck, let your mantra become relax the head. Switch hands. Now we start at the knee, so it goes knee, thigh, and then hip. Switch your hand position, rest your head, shouldn't feel the neck. Reach for the knee, then the thigh, then the hip. Keep breathing. So the next one, you're going to let your head come down on the mat and gently move it from one side to the other, just in case. Come back to your mindful bridge, so bandhas. Lift the hips, move the shoulders in a little bit so you're not on the neck. You can bind the hands if you want, press into the feet. If your hands are under your back, move them out, broaden the shoulders, come down, upper back, middle back, lower back. This time bring the knees in towards your chest, but not together necessarily. As you're laying there a moment, I'm going to move into what might be a plow and then into a shoulder stand. Plows for some people are highly risky if you have neck issues. So if you think, yeah, I don't really want to do a shoulder stand or a plow, or my feet are up and over my head back toward the floor, that just doesn't work for my neck, you go back and do the bridge pose again. It's your good option. You can use the options with the arms under and then bind. You can extend one leg and then the other leg, so you have things to do. But for those who would do the plow, be mindful that the weight is on your shoulders, not on your neck. All right, so bring the feet down. Those of you gonna do the bridge pose, you just go to the bridge pose. Those of us going over to the plow, you're gonna bring the knees into your chest and let your feet stretch out over your head. You can use the hands on your hips as those feet go over. Let the hands come down, sometimes together. Support your back with your hands at your hips. One leg goes above your hips. There's a difference if it's over your head or over your hips. Then bring the other foot up over your hips for those doing the shoulder stand, a different approach. Remember, with the bridge pose, you can extend one leg. If you're with me in the shoulder stand, go ahead and consider taking your feet one at a time back over your head. Some people even bend the knees, so whatever feels appropriate. If you're in the bridge, you're going to make your way out. If you're in the plow, you're going to bend the knees. Try and slowly roll yourself out. Stretch out your legs. Reach up the arms. Let that natural curve happen in the back. Maybe wiggle and squirm a little bit. Bringing the right knee up and into your chest. Other leg is pushing away as you hold that right knee. Carrying that right leg across your body, reaching the right arm out and looking to it, keeping your right shoulder anchored as that right leg carries across your body wherever you're facing. Now the breath becomes very important. Feeling the weight of the body as it opens. Grabbing the knee and bringing it back to your chest. So I happen to have a towel nearby, she said. If you don't have a towel, that's okay. I'm going to show you without the towel. But if you did have a towel, you might want to put it, or a strap, under your foot so that as you straighten the leg, you're going to open it out to the side for adductor opening. Let's just say, oh, I didn't bring my towel or my strap. You're going to hold the leg up, grab it wherever you can. I'll pull my pant leg up so I can either hold at the hamstring, use my elbow as a little kickstand as I let that leg go out, or I could maybe hold at my ankle. Maybe I can take my hand into the instep. Maybe I do the 2-finger lock on my big toe. Now what will happen is that left hip will want to come up as you roll, so you got to anchor that left hip down as you're pulling the other leg up. So it's out to the side, yes, but it's also moving upward. Go ahead and bend in that knee. If you have the towel or strap, just set it down. We're going to go to the other side for the whole series. Both legs are straight, arms go overhead. Ooh. This time draw the left knee in, hug it in. Push the other foot away as you create space. Keep the right hand on your left knee, release the left arm, look to the left, carry the left leg across your body, anchor that shoulder, so less important where the knee goes. Deep breaths. Engaging your core as you bring that knee back. Again, the option, as the leg goes up, to support it straight as it opens to the side. 2-finger lock, that's 2 fingers on the big toe. Straighten in the leg as it goes out to the side and kind of out of space. Or if I were using a strap or a towel to extend my grip onto my leg, I would be here. So it's not just to the side, it's also pulling that leg up and holding the opposing hip down. So that's with the strap. Here's if you didn't have a strap. Try and straighten the leg. I know it's a challenge. Go ahead and bend in the knee. Bring both knees up. Roll to one side or the other, not important, and up to a seated position. Sitting in a straddle. So your straddle doesn't have to be the widest, but you do need to sit on your sit bones rather than roll to the tailbone. So if you can kind of reach in and move your buns away. And if this is a challenge, maybe sit on a towel or a blanket or a pillow. Let's bring the hands behind us. Now my feet are going to stay active, and I don't know how people do it, but sometimes their toes roll in. It's a little more effective to have your toes rolling outward. Hands behind help elongate the spine. That's a lovely way of thinking of it. And sometimes just by getting that, remember this is part of Tadasana, if you can just get that Tadasana element of space in your vertebra sitting up on the sit bones, and then using the hands to bring the chest forward. And it's not how far you go. Let me turn sideways. So here I was, and here I went, and there I go. So at some point the hands may not be helping you anymore. So for you, might be more appropriate to move the hands forward. Not saying you should. This is a lovely position that really helps retain all the elements of that opening. If you bring the hands forward, just be careful you don't turn into that rounded person, that you're still expressing the heart forward. You may go as far forward to be able to touch the elbows. If you wanted to bend the elbows and rest your head on your hands. If you're the person that just lays down on the floor, you just go ahead, lay on the floor. Take a little nap. We'll wake you up in a moment. So keep feeling the heart be drawn forward as that spine maintains itself, as there is a tendency for the body to pull back out of where it feels the discomfort. This should not be painful. So if your inner thighs are really screaming at you, back up to a preceding position so that you can maintain this and affect change. So the change we're talking about is letting the adaptation of your muscles, ligaments, and tendons, particularly at the inner thigh, to release and allow more range of motion. Not that you need to do the splits, but being able to get in and out of a car, working in your yard, picking up leaves, doing whatever it is that you do, this range of motion is really important. And particularly if you do linear things like a lot of walking, or if you do cycling, or if you like the elliptical. One more breath. Mindfully return to upright. Don't be anxious. Slip the hands under the back of the legs, rock back, and release to cobbler's pose. So again, staying at the inner thigh, but this time with the bottom of the feet together, wherever the distance feels appropriate, whether that's close or far or somewhere in between. Same element of sitting on your sit bones, so there may be a tendency to roll back toward the tailbone, so get yourself up nice and tall. Use the elbows to help push the knees open as you project the heart forward. The shoulders should drop down. Begin that hinge through the pelvis as you move forward. Again, sitting on a blanket, a pillow, or a towel can be helpful. And then let your head bow. To look at your feet, some of you may bow so far as your head touches your feet. It's not a competition. Leave your head down as you begin that rolling up ever so mindfully, using the muscles of the back to lift the chest up. So we're going to go to hero pose today. This is that big quad stretch, and some people's knees don't tolerate it very well. I always think of it as the little kids that just plop down with their knees bent and their feet back, and they just, because they're made of rubber. But I have accommodations for those of you who do struggle with this, and you can do one side or another. So let's go there. Let's go ahead and pick up the knees, separate the feet, and I'll show this from both the front and the side angle. So take one leg forward and it's straight. Lean over onto that straight leg's hip, and then bend the other knee back. You want to try and get onto the top of the foot of that bent knee as your knee allows. So you may need to be on the other leg if your knee is not happy with this. Then there's this thing called your calf, and it tends to get compressed against your hamstring. So I take my hands and manipulate it to roll it out of the competing space, so that when I roll back to sit on that bent knee hip, I have the foot down, the knee bent, and this is how knees pretty much are made to bend. Let me give you a side view, and I'll pull the pant leg up because I don't want anybody to tweak a knee. So I roll to my side, bend the knee back. I'm on the top of the foot. I didn't turn my toe out. I'm on the top of the foot. I manipulate my calf out. I roll back to my seated position. My heel is not under my bum. It's to the side of my bum. And then maybe the hands go behind and I lift up my chest. This is a nice introductory, and if you can only do it on one side, you can only do it on one side. For those who say, I could do a little more, Karen, I go, okay, that's good. Why don't you walk back onto your hands? You begin to feel that opening into your thigh. For those who can do even more than that, the elbow would be the next placement. So you feel that big pull. And only if you felt safe and not vulnerable would you want to come all the way down and let the arms go over the head. So you get to be you. Now for those of you who say, I think I could do both legs, those of you in the one leg, just stay there, enjoy yourself. For those who do two legs, get both pant legs up. You access it by sitting, moving the calves away and kind of sitting. I always feel like a bird on an egg, sitting between the legs and then doing that same option, lifting up here, moving back here, or laying all the way down. So if you can do two legs, you do the two legs. We'll do it a second time. Those of you switching legs will give you that option. Those of you not doing both legs, you're doing the best you can. 2 more breaths. Now be very gentle as you come out from wherever you were. If you're on the 2-leg hero pose version, you bring yourself forward and you get up off the knees. Then you will remount, so you're going to reset there. For those who are doing the other leg, I'll give you that setup. So one leg is extended, lean on that hip, bend the other knee. Again, the heel is up and away from your bum. Roll your calf away as you find some space. Come back to sit on both your bums. So again, this is a big pull across the top of the thigh. May or may not be a good thing for you. So right now, pay attention to how this is going. Lift up the chest and consider leaning back. Everyone is breathing. Everyone is breathing. Finding your own way. Now, as you're staying here for the last few breaths, I will tell you, people say this bothers their foot if you're on a hard surface, the top of the foot being down on the floor. I'm on carpet, so it doesn't bother my foot. But I started doing this on the bed, which makes it a whole lot softer and more giving. So if you think this is something of value to you, making your thighs more open and giving some range of motion around the knee joint, I would say give this a try on your bed. Same setup, but do it on the bed. All right, gently move your way out, out. If you're on all fours, you're going to come to that seated position, and we'll extend the legs forward. Upward plank. The ankles are close together. Imagine they've been tied together. Palms slide back with the fingers facing forward. Now you do not have to lift the hips, and I know bearing weight onto palms may not be your thing either, so why don't you come to your knuckles with your thumbs forward as opposed to putting your shoulder in jeopardy by turning your hands back. So more classic upward plank and accommodation for wrist. So all we're going to do initially is keeping those legs together. Straighten the elbows and lift the heart. Isn't that lovely? And as you straighten the elbows, you feel the connective tissue through your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrist. If those wrists are not happy with that, you're going to look more like this, which is fine. Now when we come out of the pose, you're going to release, pull one leg in, foot at calf, knee, or high in your thigh. Keep the other leg extended, lift the spine up as we know we ought, and then hinge forward, or move the hands forward, or lay the body down. Arms are close to your leg. Mindfully engage your bandhas before you come up to protect that back. I'm kind of fussy that way. Both legs extend forward. Our second time into the upward plank. This time I will elevate my hips. You don't have to. The eyes can be outward, upward, or even dropping your head back if you'd like. So sliding my hands back so that the hands and shoulders are stacked. Inhale, lift the chest, straighten the elbows, stay there, or continue by elevating the hips, looking outward, looking upward, or letting the head go backward as you feel comfortable. Hold those ankles close together. I know it's time to come down. This time, pull that other leg in. So if you pulled the right leg in, it's now time for the left leg to pull in. Ankle, calf, knee, inner thigh, hands behind, sit up tall. Begin that hinge forward. You can leave the hands behind. There's no rule that says your hands have to go forward. A sense of sinking. Engage through your bandhas. Use your arms for support as we move into our third upward plank. So you do not have to lift the hips. This is fine, or you can lift the hips. Ankles together. One more breath. Make your way down. Now this time let's go for 2 legs extended. Reach in and move those bums away. Hands behind, lift the chest, hinge forward. Mindfully, bandhas, roll yourself up. Come over as we return, as we began, toward the child's pose. But first we're going to do asymmetrical, and then we'll finish in child's pose. Then we'll get to Shavasana. So if you've forgotten the asymmetrical, it's like you're on all fours, because you are. And then rather than the knees being across from one another, one knee will come more forward, so you can see that's displayed in my feet as well. And then I'll back my hips up as if I were doing a child's pose. It's kind of weird because it is asymmetrical. And then slide my hands forward and let my head bow. Walking my hands back, loading up onto all fours, coming back equal. Then do the same thing with the other leg. Comes forward, and then keep your hips straight because you're going to want to spin. So don't spin. Move the hips back gently. So we're slide the hands forward. Move back up into all fours. This time separate the knees as you back the hips up. And if you had a towel or a blanket or a pillow or even a block with maybe a, I don't know, a towel on top of it, you could kind of rest your head elevated, kind of that pillow thing. You could put your head downward. You can rest your arms back. So we're going back where we were. We're in that child's pose in a way to hone ourselves back to the center of presence. So as you feel yourself coming into yourself, that sounds silly, but we're usually outside ourselves, living externally, but kind of acknowledging yourself, recognizing your goodness. Transition into where you would like to be for Shavasana. So from child's pose, maybe you roll to your side or come up ever so gently. Maybe your space feels a little cooler now that we're not moving, so maybe you want a blanket over you, or maybe you want to put your slippers or your socks on. Maybe you like to lay on your back in traditional corpse pose with the arms by the side and the legs extended. Maybe you like to lay on your side in a fetal position or on your belly. You figure out how you'd like to rest for these last few moments, which I feel are an important part of a yoga practice. It's great we can do the balance. It's great that we can do the mindfulness of every pose and the challenges that it offers or the relaxation that it creates. But then what about that other part of us, that mind? So placing yourself on the earth in a safe space with all the distractions that may be around you. Slow yourself down. Let your body rest just for a moment. And as you feel the body rest, body part by body part, and as your breath comes more to the forefront of your mind, deepen the breath, and as you exhale, just send away tension, anxiety, frustration. Fill yourself with hope and wonder, and exhale away the need for fear and anxiety and distrust. Remain in this quiet space until I ring the singing bowl. Let this time be yours. And so it's time to deepen the breath. Perhaps wiggle the fingers and toes, awakening the body, but remaining in that quiet, calm space for a moment longer. And as you open your mind to this thought that the more faithfully you listen to the voices within you, the better you will hear what is sounding outside. Listening to the radio, watching television, podcasts, we constantly encounter opinions from people who seem pretty sure of themselves. Newspapers and magazines are full of columns with experts on every topic imaginable. And then there are our friends, family members, and co-workers, all eager to dispense advice. Our heads then become filled with noise of all these opinions, noise that sometimes only confuses us. Our opinions can be informed by these other voices, but the one voice we always need to hear is our own. So thought today, I value the opinions of others, both experts and people I know and respect, but I am a reasonable person with gut feelings that also need to be heeded. Well, with that timely little nugget, bring yourself up to a seated position, and you can sit any way that's comfortable, back in a chair, sitting on your knees, sitting on your bum or a pillow. But sitting mindfully as we practice yoga in our everyday life, not just during a yoga session. So address the mula bandhas, the lifting of the spine. Try not to hold the tension in your back and in your shoulders. I know it's hard. Let the arms stretch to the side and float above with the palms together and hands at heart. Here's where we share that word that means the light in me honors the light in you, and say, Namaste. I thank you for your gift of presence to this practice, and I will see you next week, likely from the desert. So we'll have a new environment. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hold good thoughts. Namaste.